What's up, everybody? Thanks for tuning back in. This one's going to be going over pretty much profit trailer everything. We're going to talk about feeder. We're going to talk about Defender, some common questions I've been getting. We're going to talk about the old app settings file. It's not even old. It's just a few days old. Kind of touch on a few common questions that I've been getting. And then talk about a little bit of the buying strategies and how I'm going to kind of override certain market conditions with maybe different buying strategies and different indicators. Like different candle lengths, right? So I'll give you guys some idea and insight into that. My thought is when you're doing your day trading, maybe on Bitcoin or on NEO or ADA, whatever, those are just the examples I've pulled up. You're not going to simply use one candle length time frame every time you trade. You know, it depends on the market conditions. It depends on a lot of different factors. And what I like to do personally is, work my way from the more macro down to the more micro, and then work my way back out to the macro using different charting patterns and stuff. Now, with a bot, you're not necessarily going to be able to sort of cross-reference every single time frame, but you can get an idea if you look at certain market conditions. What's happening in this bull market? What is the best time frame to look at? Normally in a bull market, I'll use like the 15-minute, the 30-minute candles to give me a better idea of when a bounce might be coming next. So when you're in a bear market, I like to use the more macro time frames like the hour, the 2 hour, the 4 hour, whatever it is, because I want to be a little more cautious jumping in. Remember, the quicker the time frame, the quicker I guess frequency of your buys are going to be, because you're literally looking at a quicker time frame. So you're going to see more volatility in the coin. Like if you look at this is the 15-minute. If we pull out to the 1 day, you're going to see less volatility in that same time frame because it's just one candle, right? So you may not be seeing the same buying opportunities on the daily chart that you would on the 15-minute chart. And that's okay. That's something, just to keep in mind. And that may be why it kind of leads me into my next topic is, for me, my example here is ADA. I've been getting a lot of questions like, hey, I started defending like a day ago or something, and, nothing's happening. I'm in round one, nothing's happening. It's not working. Well, that comes down to our settings. It comes down to whatever settings you have for your either your default buying strategies or your market condition buying strategies. You probably, if we go to ADA where I'm at, which is my example, you're probably just not getting a buying opportunity in those times. And that becomes a little bit of a problem because I'm seeing this in my own example here, right? Like I started this a day ago and there just hasn't been a buy. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because since I started this defending, I think we've dropped about 8 to 10%. We can do one of these guys here and just get a rough estimate. So yeah, about 8.5%, somewhere in here is when I started defending. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I don't want to bag up again. If I would have had more aggressive buying strategies, probably would have bought right in here. Maybe it would have bought here. And if I didn't sell there, I may have ended up in a whole nother bag, and that could have been a bigger detriment to my portfolio. So that's kind of not something that I want to get into. But there are times, like in this situation, where I kind of want to snag a buy. Problem is, I'm using the same indicators for every market condition. And so my next video that I'll be going over in Profit Trailer will be honing in all of these indicators, the candle length especially. So these SMA candle period, the EMA candle periods, all of this, I'm going to be honing in per market condition. So probably on the more bearish outlook market conditions. I'm also going to be using different trends here. So I'm going to use the medium trend. I'm going to use the long trend. I'm going to use the minutes to measure trend here. And so it'll give us just one more kind of check to say, hey, are we in this market condition or not? And that's going to be the way I'm kind of going to decide what market conditions we're going to go into. And then in a bearish trend like this, so one of my minutes to measure trend or my medium minutes to measure trend will tell my PT feeder, hey, you're in a bear market. What do I want in a bear market? I don't necessarily want to trade these 30-minute candles. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But in more of a bearish outlook, it seems to me that a 4-hour time frame will get you, it's going to get you less buys. We've already talked about this. It might be a little bit slower, but when you do get these buys, say you bought at this bottom, you're going to get a larger, you're probably going to get a larger increase. And we'll see what happens using these large, like very long-term time frames, which I'm not necessarily sold on yet, which is why I'm not releasing these settings yet. I'm trying to hone in. I'm thinking of using the 1 hour for more of a bearish trend. And this can kind of give me, you can see this giant green candle here, but this can kind of give me really solid buying opportunities, because you can see here, this would have been a great opportunity on all three accords. This is a MACD, the RSI, and the stochastic. When I look at profit trailer buying strategies, the first thing I look at is pretty much the stochastic, because this thing oscillates much quicker than the RSI, than the MACD. This thing just gives you a pretty good indication of, okay, this looks like the bottom of a trend. And so what I'll do is I'll look at the stochastic. It's definitely oversold in this area. And then I'll move up and I might start implementing the MACD, which would be another interesting scenario here, because that would have also signaled a buying opportunity. And then here on the 1 hour, you're also seeing the RSI indicating a nice buying opportunity as well. As you can see though, there's not a whole lot of times where the RSI and the MACD and the stochastic line up. Maybe 1, 2, 3 times here since I've originally started defending, which was somewhere in this range. But that's okay, because in my previous settings, I missed out on all of these buys. And now I'm just sitting here at negative 16 or wherever I started. Where did I start? I think it was actually here. Somewhere in this range. So I missed out on pretty much all of those buys, and that's not something that I necessarily want to do again. So my idea is to switch. So for a more bullish market, we can look at the Bitcoin chart and we can say, okay, look, the daily chart is too difficult to snag a buy because everything seems to be oversold. The MACD looks like it's topping out. The RSI is pretty hot right now. So what we can do is we can go down to maybe the 15-minute in a bull market in Bitcoin, and you can see that all of these indicators are oscillating much more in a bullish market. So this is where my idea of having the same indicators for every market condition doesn't necessarily make sense. So here, and I'm not necessarily changing my bull market. I actually do like this EMA cross strategy that I was using. It actually does seem to be working and allowing me to catch these nice candles, but it gives me, a different outlook on this, because we're looking at the 15-minute now, whereas before we were looking at the 30-minute for everything. And now we're looking at the 15-minute for the bullish trends. And we can see that these are oscillating. We're almost to the oversold mark here. It looks like we had a bullish divergence on the MACD. Here we have this bullish divergence on the stochastic. And guess what happened right after all three of those triggered? I mean, you're sitting at a 4 or 5% gain. The same thing happened here. You probably would have ended up purchasing in this zone on all three indicators. You would have ridden it out for how many hours? 16 hours? Okay, big deal. You have a bag for 16 hours. You're on the oversold most of that time. You may not even have had that bag for that long. You may have had it up into here, and you may have sold at a 1.6% profit. Who knows? It's all dependent on your settings. But this is what I'm getting at is moving the indicators around. And sometimes in the big bull markets, a 5-minute candle is almost the money printing strategy that you can use, because I mean, just look at all these really high frequency buying opportunities with all three of these candles, and you can use the traditional RSI to kind of make your settings a little bit more conservative, because if you're going to use the RSI of underneath 30, you can see that doesn't happen all too often. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, maybe 6 times. And you can get an idea of where the RSI would be triggered. And then you can go down to the stochastic and be like, okay, the stochastic is obviously overbought or oversold way more than this traditional RSI. But if you use them together, you're kind of filtering out the bad indications on the stochastic, if that makes sense. So that's sort of, you know, one outlook to look at. You would have had a buying opportunity here with the RSI and the stochastic both oversold. And then the MACD, depending on where you place your buying trigger on the MACD, you probably would have signaled another buying trigger on the MACD as well. And then you can continue forward to the next time the RSI is oversold, which would be right about here. And you can see, I know this is really small, but you know, there's a 0.5% gain there. And that same is true for the stochastic. So this is my idea, moving to different time frames in different markets, because I think it's necessary. It's what you do in day trading. Why would you set up your properties different in a bot? So that's my idea. I am looking somewhat into using the MACD. I have not released the settings because I don't want to release them before I've you know, run through them a few times. And I just wanted to give that idea out there for anybody using Defender. These settings that I released last was the reason I'm using these enabled coins only is because these are the coins that I have in my bags, right? Like these are the bags that I'm holding. I don't want Profit Trailer to be buying random other coins while I still have big bags to get rid of. So I'm using enabled coins only to tell Profit Trailer to just buy these 4 coins. It's pretty simple. And that's the reason that I put the min buy volume to 0. The reason for that is if you're using enabled coins only, these 4 coins, you don't need to worry about the min buy volume. I mean, maybe you do. Maybe you're, you know, really worried about the liquidity or whatever it is. But for me, if I want to get out of these bags, when there's a good buying opportunity, I don't care about the volume. I want to get into the good buying opportunity and get out of this bag as quick as I can. And, you know, I started these 4 coins. I just bagged up on all 4 of these pretty much, within the last few days. And I started QLC, I think sometime before that. But like I said, my buying strategies are a bit conservative from these last settings. And that's okay because it prevents future bags. But if you're trying to get out of these bags quicker, you know, we need to adjust, and we need to figure out what the best time frames are to get out of these things. And, you know, it's still trucking along. It just is going to take a little longer. You know, I think I've made about $20 back out of, you know, $100 in loss that I have in the QLC bag. And so that's not terrible. You know, I'm sitting in about 4 or 5 days. I've gone through 4 rounds, you know, about 20, 25 bucks that I've made back, which is okay. I'm completely happy with that because it's working. It's just sitting there on autopilot, not doing anything, breaking up my bags, making me profit while I'm not even thinking about it. It's a little bit slower. Some people are getting to round, you know, 15 or 20 and really cranking out profits that I've seen in my Discord. So it just comes down to what kind of settings you're running with PT Feeder or Profit Trailer, along with your settings in Defender. So it's all up to you, you know, it's all up to your settings. But yeah, I mean, I guess the min buy volume makes sense because we're using only these coins. These buying strategies, you know, I've been told, you know, some people in the Discord are saying, you know, the DCA buying strategies may be a little bit too conservative. By all means, change those. If they're a little too conservative for you, no problem. Just change them around. If you don't want to use the low BB and you'd rather use maybe the MACD or you'd rather use EMA gain, by all means, change that up. Or if there's too many DCA buying triggers, change that up. You know, this is the same thing. Just because we're using Defender now does not mean that you can't change these PT feeder settings. It really doesn't affect it. It's just I'm trying to hone in my PT feeder settings to work in conjunction with Defender all the time, because if I get into a negative bag while I'm using feeder, which is inevitable, especially if you're trading Bitcoin pairs, you're going to end up in some sort of bag sometime. So I'm trying to make my settings work in conjunction all the time with Defender, because Defender works. Like I'm making profit back. I'm trying to hone them in a little more to the point, right? So with that said, I'll be making another video coming out real soon with the new indicator strategies. So I'll catch you later.